Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be making a mesh sweater or pullover, and this is the yarn that I'm going to be using. It's a size 4. You'll just want to choose a thinner yarn that is really nice and soft for this pattern. I'm going to be using a size 3.75 for this pattern because it makes the mesh a nice size. You're also going to need something to cut, like scissors, and you'll probably need a stitch marker too, just to hold it in place. You're going to want to start with your usual slip knot. The first thing we're going to be doing is chaining as wide as we want our sleeve to be, and keep in mind this is going to be going around your arm. You're going to want to make it a bit wider than you would think because it will usually end up being shorter than you think until the yarn stretches, so use your own judgment there. The size of my sweater is going to be about a small. I did 69 stitches long for the width of the sleeve, and you're going to want to add 5 extra at the end just to start off our mesh stitch. So if you've never worked with this kind of stitch before, you want to make sure that your main chain is divisible by 3 and then 5 extra. So the first time that I made this sleeve, I made it the same way as the body, so I would have to make a seam on it. You can do it this way, I'm just going to show you real quick. So I made it flat in one piece, and then I'm going to have to take the 2 ends. Let me just zoom out. And I'm going to have to sew the 2 ends together, which is going to create a seam in the sleeve, which I personally didn't like. And I only realized afterwards that I could also work this stitch in around. So, very bright moment on my part. But I'm going to show you how to make it in around so that you don't have this seam in the sleeve, and the sleeve's going to turn out way better because of it. So what I forgot to mention before was before you put the 5 chains on it, you're going to want to join it into a round. The way I was explaining before was how to make it just one piece like before and then sew it together, but in the round you're going to, when you have the chain divisible by 3, you're going to want to join it in a loop just like I just did. And then after that, you're going to want to chain 5. Then you're going to do a triple crochet. You're going to skip 2 chain stitches, and then in the 3rd one, you're going to make a triple crochet. The next step is to chain 2, and then make another triple crochet, skipping 2 chain stitches, and then the 3rd one again, you're going to make another triple crochet. And this is just the pattern that you're going to repeat the whole way around this circle. Once you reach your last triple crochet, you should have 2 stitches left, so you're going to chain 2 and then join on the 3rd chain of the 1st row. Just slip stitch it on right there. And then you're going to restart your row all over again, doing the same thing that we did before. Going to chain 5, do a triple crochet above the triple crochet, so skipping 2, but just aim for on top of the triple crochets and less counting. And then you're just going to continue this all the way around again, and you're just going to repeat this same step all the way until your sleeve is as long as you want it to be. marker, I'm just going to show you the differences between the two sleeves that I made. So I stitched the other one together, and as you can see at the top, there's a seam going across the top right there, and it stands out. That is the part that I didn't really like. Also, it kind of curls a little bit if you slip stitch it too tightly together, and it just doesn't look nearly as neat as it could. And then the other one that I did working in round, this is how that sleeve looks, and I think that looks so much better. The chain 3s at the top make a little bit of a seam, but if you flip that and have that on the outside, or the inside, sorry, then you can't even tell the difference. So I think that looks much better, but you can do whatever you like the best. After you finish the 2 sleeves, it's now time to start to make the 2 palettes for the body. So you're going to start with a slip stitch and then make a chain, again as wide as you want. Keep in mind this is going to only reach half around you because we're going to make 2 of them. So you're going to want to make a chain divisible by 3 again, as wide as you want. These ones we are going to be making in 2 pieces. We're not going to be making it around like I said before. So after you've gotten your chain divisible by 3, you're going to make 5 extra chains before we start to make the mesh. My chain is 87 chains long, and before I added the 5 extra. So after you do that, in the 8th chain from your hook, you're going to make a triple crochet. This is the same as reaching the end, chaining 3, chaining 2, skipping 2, and then making a triple crochet. Just make sure that you count this part right, or at the end of your chain you're going to have a stitch remaining. I've done this like 3 times, so just make sure that you get that part right, and it'll make the rest go so much easier. And then after this, you're just going to keep doing the same as we did for the sleeves, just chaining 2, and then in the 3rd, from your last triple crochet, you're going to make another triple crochet, and just continue this on until you reach the end of the row. Alright, and now that we are at the last triple crochet, if I could just make a chain, that would be fantastic. So you're going to chain 2, make your last triple crochet in the last stitch hopefully, and then we're going to chain another 5 and then turn our work, and then you're going to be working back across the same way we did again. Just wanted to show you how to work the end when we are not working in a round. And you're just going to continue these steps until you've reached something as long as you want your pullover to be. Once we have our 4 pieces all together and ready, we are going to start sewing them all together. And one thing that you're going to want to make sure when you're sewing the sides together is don't sew all the way up, and just remember we have to connect the sleeves yet. What you're going to want to do is align the sleeve along the side just to make sure that you leave enough space to connect it properly. Here's where I took the stitch markers because I wanted to make sure that everything was going to line properly and all the lines on the side. So as you can tell, I didn't cut the yarn off of my last palette just so I would have one less end to sew in at the end. And you're just going to want to connect it just to hold it in place as you go. You can use more or less than I did, but whatever works for you. One reminder I just want to throw in there is that when you're sewing up, you want to make sure that the front side of the sleeve gets sewn to the front panel and then the back side gets sewn to the back panel, and just don't sew the top of your sleeve shut, or that doesn't really help much. And now that we have everything marked the way we want it, I'm just going to start slip stitching the sides together. What I found worked good is if you do like 2 slip stitches in between each triple crochet and then slip stitch the triple crochets together, and just work that up the whole side until you reach your stitch marker. Once you get to the place for your stitch markers, you're going to want to go ahead and remove that, and then we're going to start joining the sleeve. Make sure that your sleeve is evenly folded in half so that you can stitch the same amount to the front and the same amount to the back, and it's not going to get kind of pleated in a way. And you're just going to want to slip stitch it all the way up to the shoulder. One way that also might work better is if you attach the sleeve before you attach the base. That could potentially work better. Once you have slip stitched all the way to the shoulder, what I decided to do next was slip stitch the tops of the sweater just to complete the shoulder. I wanted to make sure to leave enough room for neckline, so I only did like 7 squares worth that I connected. Also, if you would like a more spacious neckline and not one that's so straight across, what you can do is make a couple like partial rows on top. Say you make an extra row of like 7 squares and then slip stitch all the way across to the next 7 into another row of 10 squares just to make the neckline more roomy. You can totally do that. After you've completed the top of the shoulder, you're just going to want to go ahead and fasten off your yarn and cut it. And then we're going to move to the other side of the sleeve that's still open. Before you start, you want to make sure to kind of align it. And we're just going to slip stitch it the whole way up. And after you've completed this, you can again fasten off your yarn and then go and do the exact same thing on the other side of the pullover, and then we are done. Here's the final product. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're planning